I always thought the night my life changed would be dramatic. Maybe a car crash, a breakup, or something that made sense. Not a stupid argument in Alara's penthouse with a pen I shouldn't have touched. "I dare you," she had said, waving a paper in front of me. "Sign it. Since you think everything's a joke anyway." I laughed. "Alara, it literally says marriage contract. Who even writes these things?" "You're scared," she replied, eyes cold, chin lifted. "That's why you won't do it." "I'm not scared," I said, because my ego was bigger than my brain that night. "Fine. Give it here." She shoved the papers at me. I smirked, scribbled my name, and tossed the pen back. "There. Happy?" She didn't smile. She didn't even blink. She just gathered the papers like they were something precious. If I had known she'd actually file them, I would have thrown myself out the window instead. 2 days later, I stood in a giant office with a man old enough to be carved from legal stone. Mr. Caldwell adjusted his glasses and said, "Mr. Hale, I'm here to confirm your acknowledgement of the Voss-Hale marital contract." I blinked at him. "My what?" "Your legally bound marriage contract to Miss Alara Voss." I laughed so hard my ribs hurt. "You're joking, right?" He didn't even flinch. "No, sir." I looked at Alara sitting across from me. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Her calm expression felt like a slap. "Alara," I said slowly, "tell him this is a misunderstanding." She finally looked at me. Her voice was flat. "It's not." I stared at her. It was a dare. A joke. "You said." "I said to sign it," she cut in. "You did. You tricked me. You played along." "That's not the same thing." She folded her arms. "Why are you overreacting? You're getting money out of this too." I felt something twist in my chest. Annoyance, betrayal, maybe both. "I don't want your money. I want my life." Mr. Caldwell cleared his throat. "If I may, the contract has already been approved. The legal binding is complete." I stepped back. No, I'm not accepting this." "That is unfortunate," he said, "but the contract stands." I looked at Alara again, hoping to find some sign of guilt or hesitation. Instead, she stared out the window like I wasn't even in the room. "Why?" I whispered. She didn't answer. I left the office. I didn't wait for her or for Caldwell. I just walked until the city blurred around me. I needed air that wasn't filled with Voss perfume and legal threats. When I reached the lobby, a voice behind me said, "Aiden." I turned. Marcus Voss, Alara's father, the man whose money moved half the city, stood in front of me. Calm, composed, terrifying. I assume Caldwell explained the situation. "He explained your daughter's insanity," I snapped. Marcus didn't react. "You're angry." "Understandable." "I'm not doing this," I said. "Whatever your game is, leave me out of it." He stepped closer. "The contract benefits the Voss legacy. And you, Aiden. I don't care about your legacy." "You should," he replied. "Because you're part of it now." "I didn't ask to be." He sighed like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Do you know why Alara pushed this through?" "No," I said sharply. "Why don't you enlighten me?" He gave a small smile. "Because we needed someone outside the corporate circle. Someone reliable. Someone with no ties to our competition." "I'm not reliable," I shot back. "I'm barely responsible." He ignored that. "You were chosen." "I don't want to be chosen." "That isn't your decision anymore." Something inside me cracked at those words. A quiet panic. A heavy dread. A feeling like I had been sold without knowing I was for sale. "Let me go," I said quietly. Marcus shook his head. "You signed. You agreed. There's no undoing it." "It was a dare," I hissed. "A stupid, meaningless dare." "To you," he said. "Not to us." I felt my fist clench. "So that's it? You're just going to trap me in this? Call it what you want. But you will stay." And he walked away like he had just told me the weather forecast. When I stepped outside the building, the cold air slapped my face. I braced my hands on my knees, trying to breathe. People passed me, talking, laughing, living lives that still belonged to them. Mine. Not anymore. My phone buzzed. A message from Alara. "Come back upstairs. We need to discuss arrangements." I stared at the screen, feeling something bitter rise in my throat. Arrangements. As if I was a piece of furniture she had bought. I typed back, "No." She replied instantly, "This is bigger than you. Stop acting childish." My jaw tightened. "You turned a joke into a real marriage and I'm childish?" She didn't respond. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe she didn't care. But I cared. Because everything that made me, felt like it had been ripped out. I walked away from the tower telling myself I was free. But the truth settled in my chest like stone. The moment I signed that fake contract, my life stopped being mine. And the Voss family made sure I would never forget it. The moment I walked into the Voss building, I felt the shift, like the air thickened around me. Ilara stood near the elevator with that practiced, icy smile. "Morning," she said, her tone light but sharp enough to slice. I stopped a few feet away. "So we're pretending nothing happened?" She tilted her head. "You make it sound dramatic. Because legally binding marriage contracts aren't dramatic at all?" Her smile didn't even twitch. "You signed it." "I signed a joke." "You signed your name," she countered, stepping into the elevator. "And legally that's all that matters." I followed her inside because I had no choice. Marcus had made the arrangement painfully clear last night. "Ilara," I said softly, "this isn't normal." "Nothing about my family is normal," she replied, eyes glued to her tablet. "That doesn't mean you get to treat me like a prop." She looked up, and for just a second, something dark flickered behind her eyes. "You agreed to help maintain the public image," she reminded me. "I didn't agree, your father cornered me." He explained why it matters. "Explain it to me then," I said. "Because I still don't get why I'm involved." She exhaled slowly. "You were convenient." The words hit harder than I expected. "Convenient?" "Yes." I let out a bitter laugh. Glad to know I ranked somewhere between a pen and a stapler. She didn't react, which somehow made it worse. When the elevator doors opened, Marcus was waiting. "Aiden," he greeted warmly, his hand clapping my shoulder. "You two ready for the morning briefing?" "Ready?" I repeated. "I'm barely breathing." Marcus chuckled as if I'd told a joke. "You'll adjust." "Ilara already has," I muttered. She walked ahead, ignoring us both. Inside the conference room, half the board was already seated. Ilara took her place at the head of the table. "Let's begin," she announced. Someone whispered, "So that's the fiancé?" Another murmured, "Didn't peg him as her type." I clenched my jaw. Marcus leaned toward me. "Smile. This is good for us. This feels like a nightmare. They just need to see unity." "Unity?" I whispered. "She barely acknowledges I exist." Marcus's expression hardened. "Then step up." Ilara began speaking about quarterly figures, but I couldn't focus. I watched her, confident, poised, heartless. When the meeting ended, she stood and said coolly, "Aiden, stay." The board members exchanged glances as they left. I crossed my arms. "What now?" "You need to stop looking miserable," she said. "Miserable?" "Yes. People are watching. They're watching you humiliate me." She blinked once. "If you can't handle pressure, that's not my problem." "It is," I snapped. "Because you dragged me into this." She turned away. "You dragged yourself." "I didn't," I said, voice low. "You know I didn't." Her cold smile returned. "Convince yourself of whatever makes this easier." The humiliation stung more than I wanted to admit. I walked out before I said something I'd regret. When I finally reached home, Lena was waiting in the living room, arms crossed. "You look awful," she said. "Love you too," I muttered, dropping onto the sofa. She sat beside me. "I'm serious, Aiden. You look broken." "I'm fine." "That's what people say when they're very much not fine." I rubbed my face. "It's complicated. So uncomplicated." "Talk to me." "You wouldn't understand." "Try me." I exhaled slowly. "I'm stuck in something I never agreed to. And now everyone expects me to just smile through it." Lena frowned. "Is this about Ilara?" "Yes." "She's bad news," she said immediately. "I know." "Then walk away." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because somehow," I whispered, "I signed my life away." Lena grabbed my hand. "Aiden, what did she do to you?" "It's not her," I said. "It's her father. It's the contract. It's everything." "But you're still a person," she insisted. "I don't feel like one," I admitted. She hugged me, her voice softer. "You don't deserve this." "I know," I said, though it didn't feel true. Something sharp settled in my chest. Fear, resentment, maybe both. All I knew was the cold smile Ilara wore all day hadn't left my mind. And for the first time, I wondered if this was only the beginning. The company gala was in full swing. Crystal chandeliers, clinking glasses, and forced laughter filled the room. I felt out of place, like I didn't belong. And maybe I didn't. I spotted Ilara across the room, laughing lightly, her gaze flitting to someone I didn't recognize at first. Then I realized it was Evan Cross. Her ex. "Oh, him?" she said, voice soft but sharp. Aiden? He's temporary. I froze mid-step. Temporary? My stomach turned. Evan laughed, leaning closer to her. Temporary? Really? You'll come back to me soon anyway. Elara smiled, one of those cold, measured smiles that made me shiver. Maybe. We'll see. I stayed hidden, letting their words sink in. Rage boiled under my skin, but I kept quiet. My hands clenched into fists. How dare she call me a tool? A temporary nothing? I left before anyone noticed me, trying to calm the storm inside. Later, when I caught her alone near the balcony, I couldn't hold it in. Elara, I said, voice low, dangerous. Did you just call me a tool? She looked at me, amused, tilting her head. You weren't supposed to hear that. Not supposed to hear it? So that makes it okay? She shrugged, sipping her drink. I didn't make the rules, Aiden. I just played my part. You think this is a game? I asked, my jaw tight. She smirked. Isn't life a game? You're just learning. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her feel the smallest fraction of what I felt. But I didn't. I walked away instead, cold and quiet. That night, I sat in my apartment, replaying every word she said. Temporary. The tool. My hands trembled slightly as I tried to focus on anything else. The city lights, my phone, the hum of the refrigerator, but it all went back to her words. Somewhere in the mess of betrayal, confusion, and anger, I realized something terrifying. She never cared. Not about me. Not about my feelings. Everything had been a game, a calculated move. I buried my face in my hands, wishing I could erase that memory. But then there was a knock at my door. Elara's cousin. You're up late, she said, stepping inside without waiting for an answer. Her tone was soft, hesitant. Mind if I sit? I stayed silent, unsure if I wanted company. You don't have to say anything, she continued. She's lying to herself, you know? I lifted my head, staring at her. What do you mean? She convinces herself she's in control. That nothing matters. That everyone's replaceable. But it eats at her, even if she'll never admit it. I laughed bitterly. So what? That makes me feel better? No, she said gently. It doesn't. Maybe you'll understand her a little. Maybe not, but, she trailed off. I didn't respond. I didn't believe her. Not yet. How could I? She had just made me feel invisible, worthless, like I was nothing more than a pawn in her little circus. Maya watched me, eyes full of sympathy I didn't feel ready to accept. You're stronger than she thinks, she said finally. Don't let her game break you. Game? I repeated, my voice low. She already has. I leaned back in my chair, hands gripping the edges. Rage, humiliation, disbelief, it was all tangled up inside me. But beneath it, a spark ignited. A part of me that refused to stay broken. Maya's words lingered, soft but persistent. I didn't answer her. I didn't want her to see the cracks, the anger, the seed of revenge growing. Not yet. Eventually she left, closing the door quietly behind her. The apartment felt emptier than before. I stared out the window at the city below, trying to focus on the lights instead of her cold smile. Temporary. The tool. I whispered it under my breath, tasting the words. And for the first time, I realized that I couldn't let her get away with it. Not her. Not anyone who thought they could decide my worth. Something inside me had shifted. And it would never be the same again. I stood in the grand living room, my fists clenched, heart pounding like a drum I couldn't control. Elara leaned against the marble fireplace, arms crossed, that cold, untouchable expression I'd grown to hate. You should know your place, Aiden, she said, voice sharp but laced with amusement. My stomach dropped, rage snapping like a whip. My place? You mean in your little game? You mean as your pawn? She smirked, tilting her head. Exactly. It's all very simple if you just accept it. No, I spat, stepping closer. I'm done accepting anything from you. Elara's eyebrows flicked up. Done? She asked, almost mockingly. You think you can just walk away? I'm not walking away. I'm breaking this, I said, pulling the contract from my coat pocket. Legally. Officially. Done. Her smile faltered just for a moment. I saw it. Fear. Real, raw fear, buried beneath the layers of arrogance and coldness. You wouldn't dare, she whispered, voice a touch shaky. I would, I said firmly, my chest rising with a strange, terrifying freedom. I'm not yours. I never was. And I won't be. Not anymore. Elara's lips pressed into a thin line. Her eyes, usually so controlled, flickered. Just a fraction, but enough. Pride cracking. Ego shattering. Do you even know what this will do? She asked, voice low, almost pleading. I know exactly what it'll do, I said, staring straight at her. It'll give me my life back. And you'll have to face yourself. Her hands trembled slightly. She tried to hide it, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear, but I saw everything. I had never seen her like this. Not vulnerable, not afraid. Maya appeared quietly in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Careful, she said, almost a warning. She's not as heartless as she pretends. There's more there than you think. I shook my head. I don't care. Maya's gaze softened, but she didn't push further. Just, remember, breaking her is not the same as hurting her. She'll have her own demons. I didn't respond. I couldn't. My mind was too busy replaying every moment she'd belittled me, every cold glance, every whispered humiliation. Every time I'd felt like nothing. Ilara's eyes followed me as I moved toward the door. You can't just. I can, I said, my voice steady, cutting through the tension. I will. She took a step forward, hesitation evident. Edding, please. I didn't turn back. I didn't answer. I simply opened the door and left the mansion, the cold night air hitting me like a shockwave. The city lights blurred as I walked to my car, heart pounding but strangely lighter. By the time I reached Jackson's apartment, my phone was buzzing. Texts, missed calls. You already knew. About time, he said when I let myself in, his grin wide. I was starting to think you'd let her walk all over you forever. I laughed bitterly, tossing my coat on the couch. It's done. I'm done. Jackson clapped me on the shoulder. Good. Finally. No more games. No more nonsense. We sat in silence for a while, drinking whiskey, letting the tension leave my shoulders. But when I tried to sleep later, lying on the couch, it didn't come. Something hurt more than betrayal should. Deeper than anger, more persistent than fear. I closed my eyes and saw her face, the cold, arrogant smirk, the fleeting flash of fear. That moment when I finally had control. It should have felt satisfying. But it didn't. The emptiness gnawed at me. The questions, the what-ifs, I should have felt relief, I told myself. Instead, there was a hollowness that no drink, no victory, no Jackson's encouragement could fill. I rolled onto my side, staring at the ceiling, thoughts spinning. Her fear had been real, that much was true. But the real damage was already done. The seed had been planted long ago, and it wasn't something I could undo overnight. Jackson snored softly from the other couch. I envied him, his ability to switch off. I couldn't. Not yet. I thought of Ilara, alone in that mansion, her pride crumbled, her fear hidden under layers she would rebuild tomorrow. She would pretend again, put the mask back on. And I would remember. I whispered into the darkness, almost to myself, you don't scare me anymore. But I won't forget. And with that, I let my body finally rest, though my mind remained awake, haunted, and restless. The days after I walked away felt like a strange, heavy calm. I didn't check my phone constantly, didn't hover over emails. I kept my distance intentionally, letting the chaos take shape without me. Are you seriously just ignoring it? Jackson asked, throwing a bottle of water onto the counter. I'm not ignoring it, I said, rubbing my face. I'm letting things unfold. She's going to hit walls she didn't expect. He raised an eyebrow. Walls? Or karma? Same thing, I muttered. Maya called me one night, voice hushed. Aiden, she cries. At night. Alone. She asks me if she did something wrong. I didn't know how to answer her. I froze. You're joking. No. I saw her. Her voice faltered. She's broken. A little. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Broken? She's never broken. Not really. She just hates that she can't control me. Maya sighed. Call it whatever you want. Just watch yourself. Don't get caught in her trap again. I hung up, staring at the ceiling. The idea that Ilara could be humanly vulnerable made a small, uncomfortable knot form in my chest. I shoved it aside. The next morning, I entered the boardroom for a client pitch. And there she was. Ilara. Eyes red, voice shaking. Her perfectly poised mask had slipped in the smallest way, and I noticed immediately. Aiden, she started, hands gripping the table. I didn't stop. I passed by her like she was invisible. The whispers followed me, board members exchanging surprised glances, but I didn't care. For the first time, I felt untouchable. Her lips parted, words dying on her tongue. Wait, you're not going to control me anymore, I said over my shoulder, not looking back. She swallowed hard, eyes flashing with something between anger and desperation. I could see the recognition in her gaze. The shift had begun. Later, Maya appeared again. She tried to speak to you. I saw, I said, voice calm. She doesn't get it yet. But she will. You're ruthless, Maya murmured. I'm careful, I corrected. Not ruthless. Just aware. Rumors started to swirl by the week's end. I left her, I refused her, I had stopped pretending. And her public image started cracking. The board whispered, questions arose about her leadership. Even Marcus frowned at her during a private meeting. She's spiraling, Jackson said, leaning against the doorway. And you? You're just calm. Almost scary calm. I smirked. It's not scary. It's strategic. The emails from her mother were polite but concerned. Elara is under stress, one read. Another, make sure you don't provoke her too much. She's fragile. Fragile. I laughed. Fragile was a word I'd never thought applied to Elara. But now, evident. Visible in the way she tried to hold meetings together, voice wavering, hands trembling when she took notes. At one particularly tense meeting, I noticed Elias, a new board member, observing her closely. She's losing her grip, he muttered to Nora beside him. Nora nodded, eyes wide. I've never seen her like this before. And Aiden, he's calm. Too calm. It's unnerving. I could hear them whisper, barely concealed. And I realized, power was no longer hers. The game had shifted. Elara's attempts to reach me became frantic. After a late meeting, she caught me in the hallway. Aiden, wait. Please, I need to explain. I shook my head. There's nothing to explain. Her hands hovered in the air, almost pleading. You don't understand? I understand perfectly, I interrupted, voice steady. You've always played with people like me. And now it's different. You're not in control. I am. The realization hit her like a physical blow. I watched as she blinked rapidly, trying to gather composure. Pride battled shame, and for the first time I could see the uncertainty in her. Her voice broke. I never meant for it to go this far. Intentions don't matter, I said coldly. Actions do. And you lost. She nodded, silently, not trusting herself to speak further. I turned, walking down the hallway, hearing her sigh behind me, a quiet, defeated sound that was almost satisfying. Maya appeared at my office later that evening. Did you see her? I did, I said. She's fractured. Not broken, but the edges are sharp. She knows she can't push me anymore. Maya smiled faintly. Careful, Aiden. Karma can be tricky. Don't let this change you too much. I'm not changed, I said, though a small thrill ran through me. I'm just awake. The nights became quieter for me. I stayed late at the office, watching her try to regain composure during meetings. Her perfection slipped. Emails sent in haste, notes forgotten, temper short with staff. I was no longer reacting. I was observing. And it was oddly satisfying. The balance of power had shifted entirely, and the realization warmed a corner of my chest I hadn't known existed. I wasn't angry anymore, not like before. I was something stronger, calm, poised, untouchable. And she knew it. Her gaze met mine one final time during a board meeting, trembling lips and all, and I whispered silently to myself, the game is over. I'm in charge now. The knock on Jackson's apartment door was frantic, urgent. I wasn't expecting anyone, least of all Elara. I need to talk to you. Her voice cracked even before I opened the door. I froze, staring at her soaked eyes, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Elara, what are you doing here? I can't take it anymore, she blurted, shaking. I was lying. I pretended I didn't care because I was scared I'd need you. That I'd want you. And I didn't know how to stop it. I stepped aside, letting her rush in. Sit. Breathe. She dropped onto the couch, trembling. Aiden, I never meant to hurt you. Stop, I said firmly, voice flat. I don't need apologies right now. I need truth. Not excuses, not lies. Her lips quivered. I'm telling the truth. I lied because I was terrified. I swallowed hard. My heart was thudding, but I refused to reach out. I couldn't. Scared doesn't justify betrayal, I said softly, but the words cut like knives. She flinched. I know it doesn't. But Before she could finish, a familiar, smug voice interrupted. Well, look who's sobbing at Jackson's place. Can't handle your little game, Elara? Evan. I felt my teeth grind. Evan, I said, calm but dangerous. Step outside. No, I think I should stay. She owes me. Enough, I said loudly, voice echoing against the walls. I stepped closer, my presence impossible to ignore. She owes you nothing. You manipulated her. You gaslit her. And you're done. Evan froze, his face flushing. You can't. I just did, I snapped, pointing at him. Stay away from her. Forever. Ilara's eyes widened, a mix of relief and fear. She hadn't expected me to confront him like that. Evan, don't ever speak to me again, she hissed, voice shaky but firm. I never want to see you again. Understand? He opened his mouth and closed it. And then he was gone. Doors slammed, leaving only our heavy silence. I sank into the armchair opposite her, studying her. She looked human. Vulnerable. Broken in a way that terrified me more than any anger she'd shown. She whispered, I never wanted to play games with you. I didn't know how to stop myself from falling. From needing you. I stayed quiet, letting the words hang. My chest felt tight, the numbness spreading. I wanted to comfort her, wanted to tell her it was okay, but the betrayal still throbbed. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back gently. Not yet, I said. You need to earn trust. And I need time. Her lips trembled. Aiden, please, don't push me away. Not now. Not after everything I've just said. I'm not pushing, I said softly, though my heart beat faster than it had in weeks. I'm cautious. This wall between us? It's been built for a reason. She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. I'll wait. I'll do anything. Just don't leave. You've already left me, I muttered. Every day you lied, every time you smiled while mocking me inside, it left me. She swallowed, eyes shining. I know I've hurt you. And I'm sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it up. If you let me. The words felt like fire in my veins. I wanted to forgive, to reach out, to pull her into my arms and erase everything. But I couldn't. Not yet. Pain and doubt held me back, sharper than any desire. I need proof, I said finally, voice low but firm. Not promises. Actions. You say you mean it? Show me. Show me you're not just words. I will, she cried, nodding so violently I feared she'd topple over. I swear it. I'll do anything. I exhaled slowly, watching her struggle to regain control over herself. Start with honesty, I said. No more lies. No more pretending. And stay away from Evan. Forever. She nodded again, the shaking slowing, though her eyes remained haunted. I can do that. I can do anything. A quiet moment settled between us. The kind of silence that carries the weight of every mistake, every betrayal, every unspoken word. I don't know if I can trust you fully, I admitted, voice soft. But I'm listening now. That's the first step. Her hands gripped mine lightly, tentative. Thank you, she whispered. That's all I ask. Just don't leave me now. I'm not leaving, I said, though my tone carried the caution of someone scarred. Not yet. But don't mistake my presence for forgiveness. That comes later, if at all. She nodded silently, understanding the gravity of my words. For the first time the mask was gone. She was exposed. Raw. Scared. And for the first time I felt the wall between us shift. A crack had formed. But the pain lingered. The doubt. The memory of all the manipulation. I couldn't fully embrace her yet. Not tonight. Not until I was certain she wasn't playing me again. And yet, a spark of something unspoken stirred. Something fragile, cautious, and dangerous. She asked me to meet her on the rooftop. I hesitated, every step heavier than the last. Something about this felt dangerous, like standing on the edge of a cliff with no promise I wouldn't fall. I want to show you something, she said softly as I reached the small gate. Her eyes were wide, vulnerable, and I couldn't read them. I followed her up the narrow stairwell, the city lights stretching below us like tiny, indifferent stars. Why here? I asked cautiously. This is where we first met, she whispered, voice barely audible over the night wind. I wanted to remember what was real before everything got so complicated. The rooftop garden was quiet, fragrant with flowers and the soft hum of distant traffic. It smelled like spring, like beginnings. She stepped closer, hands shaking slightly. Aiden? I need you to hear me, she said, gripping the railing. Everything I've done, it wasn't to trap you. I swear. I didn't know how to tell you, so I pretended I didn't care. I stayed silent, heart thudding, unsure if I wanted to hear the truth or let her words hang in the air, unanswered. Do you remember the first day we met? She asked, voice trembling. I was cold, distant. But it wasn't who I really was. I was scared of needing someone I couldn't have. And then, you came along and I couldn't stop myself. I clenched my fists, fighting the anger that still lingered. So the contract, the lies, the mocking, all of it was just fear? Yes, she said, tears streaming freely now. I was too proud to admit I liked you. I wanted time to figure myself out. I never wanted to hurt you. I never meant to make you feel like a pawn. Her honesty hit me like a wave. It was raw, unfiltered, and I could hear it in every word. But the bruises in my heart, the memory of every cold smile and cruel word, were still there. You don't understand, I said quietly, voice shaking despite myself. It's not just the lies. It's how easy you discarded my feelings. How quickly you manipulated everything around us. She nodded, sobbing now, shoulders shaking. I know I failed you. And I can't take back what I did. I can only promise you this, I'll wait. I'll prove to you that I'm not just words. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust. I looked at her, the city lights reflecting in her teary eyes, and felt the weight of everything we'd been through. The wall between us had cracks, but it was still there. I wanted to reach out to tell her I forgave her. But I couldn't. Not yet. I need time, I said finally, voice low but firm. I can hear your truth, but my heart, it's bruised. I need to see if what you're saying now matches your actions later. I will, she said earnestly, gripping my hand lightly. I'll wait. I'll never push, never force. Just, let me be here, let me show you. The wind whipped around us, tugging at her hair and the hem of her dress. She shivered, and I realized how small she looked, how human. The cold mask, the pride, the games, it all melted away in that moment. Why now? I asked quietly. Why here, why tonight? Because I can't hide anymore, she admitted. Every lie, every cold smile, every act of pretending, it's killing me. I can't live like that, not with you. I wanted you to know the real me. Not the mask. Not the jokes. The real me. Her words hit a chord inside me. I wanted to believe desperately, but the caution lingered. You've hurt me badly, Alara. How do I know this isn't another act? She knelt in front of me, eyes locked on mine. Because I can't hide anymore. I'm scared, Aiden. Scared you'll leave me, scared I'll lose you forever if I don't tell you now. I'm vulnerable. I'm terrified. I studied her, every tremor, every tear. The walls she built were still there, but the cracks were bigger than I'd ever seen. I wanted to step forward to close the gap, but I stopped myself. I'll need evidence, I said softly, voice raw. Not words, not promises. Actions. I need to see that you mean this, that you're not just saying what I want to hear. She nodded earnestly, a faint smile breaking through the tears. Anything at all. I'll prove it. I swear. We sat in silence for a long time, the city stretching below us, quiet except for the soft rustle of leaves and the distant hum of life. For the first time I saw her, not the cold, calculating Alara, not the smirking girl who mocked me. The real Alara. Behind the mask, trembling, scared, and human. I need time, I whispered again, more to myself than to her. I'll wait, she said firmly, voice steady despite the tears. Forever if I have to. And in that moment, on that rooftop, I understood something important. This wasn't the end, not yet. But maybe it was the beginning of something real. I found her waiting in the garden, pale under the afternoon sun. Her hands were clenched at her sides, and her eyes darted around like she expected someone else to appear. She looked smaller, fragile, different from the cold, untouchable Alara I had known. Eden, you came, she whispered, voice trembling. I stopped a few feet away, measuring my words. Alara, we need to talk. She nodded, swallowing hard. Yes. I want to hear you. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything we'd been through. I'm breaking the contract. Her knees buckled slightly, and she grabbed the railing behind her for support. No, you can't. I can, I said firmly, voice low but steady. I've tried to forgive, to understand, to endure. But I can't live like this anymore. I need to save myself from drowning in old pain. Her eyes widened. Aiden, please. I love you. I'll change, I swear. Anything you want, I'll do it. Don't do this. I hear you, I said, heart twisting at the sound of her voice cracking. I hear you, and it's hard. Believe me, it's hard. But I can't let the past keep controlling me. I need to move forward. Tears welled in her eyes, and she stepped closer. You don't understand. I made mistakes, yes. I lied, I acted cold, You acted like you didn't care, I interrupted, my voice shaking slightly. You pretended I was nothing. And even now, you're begging me because you're afraid. Not because you truly understand what it did to me. Her lip quivered. I do understand. I've never stopped thinking about it. I felt every moment since as if I was losing something I can't get back. Please, Aiden. Don't leave me. I'm not leaving you forever, I said quietly, almost to myself. I'm leaving myself behind. I need to protect myself before I can ever think about us again. She fell to her knees, clutching my legs. Aiden, please. I love you. I'll do anything. Don't let this be the end. I can't breathe without you. Don't break the contract. I knelt beside her, hand hovering over her shoulder but not touching. Alara, this isn't about punishment. It's about survival. You can't fix me not by begging. I need to fix myself first. That means walking away. That means letting go of what we were. Her hands trembled as she pulled at the fabric of my coat. You don't know how much I need you. I know more than you think, I said, my voice tight. And that's why I have to do this. I can't keep letting your past actions hold me hostage. I won't. Not anymore. Her cries grew louder, raw and desperate. I'll change. Oh. You said that before, I cut in gently. Actions, Alara. Words are easy. You've been scared of needing me, scared of admitting the truth. I get it. I really do. But I can't live in fear or hope that one day you'll finally mean it. I have to mean it for myself. She clung to me for a final moment, then slowly sank into Marcus's waiting arms behind her. I didn't turn back. I didn't want to see her collapse completely, but I knew I had to. My choice wasn't cruelty. It was survival. Don't walk away, she called, voice breaking, tears streaking her face. I'm not walking away from you, I whispered, though she couldn't hear me anymore. I'm walking toward myself. I stepped back, feeling every heartbeat like it was a drum of pain and freedom intertwined. The wind tugged at my hair, carrying her sobs across the garden. Her father, Marcus, held her tightly, whispering words I didn't catch, but it didn't matter. For once, someone else was catching her. Not me. I turned and walked, chest tight, throat raw. The sunlight hit my face, sharp and warm, and I felt the first real breath of control in months. I didn't look back. I could hear her calling, faintly, desperately, but I didn't stop. Every step was heavy, but it was mine. I wasn't walking for her. I wasn't walking for revenge or anger. I was walking to save myself from drowning in the past, in the lies, in the fear. And for the first time in a long time, I felt it, the power to choose myself. I didn't know how long I stood outside the garden gates, just listening to the distant city hum. I didn't feel regret. I felt clarity. I had chosen me. I had chosen survival. She might heal, she might fall, she might regret. That wasn't mine to carry anymore. I had done my part, spoken my truth, faced my fear, and left. I kept walking. Step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, leaving the pain behind. For once, the world was mine, and I refused to let it slip through my fingers. I hadn't expected to hear anything about her, not for weeks. Then Maya called. Have you heard? She asked, voice cautious. Heard what? I said, leaning against my apartment wall. Alara, she's different now, Maya said softly. She cut ties with Evan. She stepped down from her father's company. She's volunteering. She's trying. I frowned. Trying? What does that even mean? She's avoiding the spotlight, Maya explained. She still cries sometimes late at night. But she's learning to stand alone, Aiden. Not as your pawn, not as her father's puppet. I was quiet. Part of me wanted to laugh at the irony. Part of me didn't want to care. So she's changing? She's trying, Maya repeated. And I think she's realizing who she was. I let the silence stretch, letting the weight of her words sink in. I didn't reach out. I didn't think I wanted to. But curiosity gnawed at me, sharp and insistent. A few days later, I ran into her at a small charity event. She wasn't looking for attention. She was helping children decorate a room, kneeling to tie shoelaces, adjusting tiny chairs. She was calm, focused, nothing like the Alara I had known. Alara. My voice was soft, almost hesitant. She looked up and smiled, not a cold, teasing smile, but something quiet, measured. Her eyes met mine, steady and unguarded. Aiden, she said, voice calm. Thank you. For what? I asked, skeptical. For showing me who I was, she said, looking down at the children. I didn't realize how selfish I'd been, how much I hurt people, including you. I stared at her, feeling a strange shift inside me. There was no begging, no pleading, no desperation. Just honesty. I didn't expect. I don't know what I expected, I muttered. She laughed quietly, a soft sound that tugged at something I thought I had locked away. Maybe you expected tears. or apologies that wouldn't mean anything. But I've learned that showing weakness doesn't fix anything. Facing it does. You've changed, I said, voice barely more than a whisper. I'm trying, she admitted. I'm still figuring out who I am. Alone this time. I needed to see it without anyone else's influence. Without Evan, without my father's expectations. Without you even. I swallowed. And does that make it easier? She shrugged slightly. It's harder but real. It hurts more because I feel everything now. But it's real. And maybe that's what I needed. I nodded slowly, surprised at how little I wanted to yell or argue. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't performing for me or anyone else. I'm proud of you, I said finally. Not for what you've done for them, but for you. For learning to stand on your own. She looked at me then, her calm gaze piercing. Thank you, Aiden. Truly. For showing me who I was. And for walking away when you needed to. Her words shook me more than her tears ever did. I realized then that this wasn't about control or revenge or even closure. This was about growth, hers, mine, and maybe, eventually, together if the pieces aligned. We stood there for a moment, silent, letting the hum of the children and the muted chatter of the volunteers fill the space. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't theatrical. It was honest, and that honesty hit harder than anything before. Take care of yourself, Aiden, she said quietly, turning back to her work. You too, I said, feeling lighter than I had in months. For the first time, I didn't feel anger, longing, or regret. I felt respect. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. I waited on the rooftop garden, the same place where everything once fell apart. When I heard footsteps behind me, I breathed in slowly. You came, I said. I wasn't sure you'd want me here, Ilara replied. Her voice was gentle, steadier than I remembered. I wouldn't have asked if I didn't, I said, turning toward her. You look different. Different good or different bad? She asked with a faint smile. Different real, I said. She let out a quiet breath. I've been trying to be honest with myself. With you too. I nodded. So talk to me. She stepped closer, stopping far enough that I could walk away if I wanted to. I still love you, she said. But I'm not here to ask for anything. Not forgiveness. Not a second chance. I just need you to know the truth. Her words hit harder than if she tried to cling to me. I needed time, I said. You gave me that. I owed you that, she whispered. I spent so long pretending I knew everything. But I didn't even know myself. I moved to the railing, letting the city breeze brush my face. Why tell me now? Because pretending I'm over you felt dishonest. And the old me would have chased you until you hated me. I'm not her anymore. I glanced back. You're calmer. I'm learning, she said. And I'm trying to be someone who chooses, not someone who manipulates. For a moment we just listened to the wind. Then I asked, do you regret us? No, she said instantly. I regret hurting you, lying to myself, and letting fear decide everything. But us? No. Her honesty disarmed me. I didn't come here to reopen old wounds, I said. I wanted to see who you are now. That's fair. I faced her fully. So, who are you now? She smiled sadly. Someone who wants love without control. Someone who knows losing you wasn't a punishment, it was a lesson. I felt something in my chest shift. Ilara. You don't owe me anything, she said. Not hope, not promises. Just truth. I took a slow step toward her. Truth is, I didn't expect to feel this way again. She blinked. What way? Soft, I said. Like you're not a threat to me anymore. Her breath trembled. I don't want to be. Silence stretched, warm instead of heavy. I reached out, hesitating for just a second before taking her hand. She didn't rush, didn't squeeze, didn't lean in, she simply let me hold her. If we try again, I said quietly, it has to be real this time. No contracts. No games. No expectations you don't say out loud. She nodded. Real. I want that. And if it stops feeling right, I added, we walk away without destroying each other. That's fair too, she said. But I hope we don't have to. I laughed softly. Me too. We sat on the bench, hands still touching. It feels like we're signing something, she said. We are, I replied. Not a contract your father drafted. Not something hidden behind lawyers. A contract of choice? She asked. Exactly. She leaned her shoulder against mine, gentle and steady. Then I choose you, she whispered. I swallowed. I choose you too. The city lights flickered below us as if sealing the agreement themselves. And for the first time it felt real because it came from us, not paper. And as we sat there, letting the night fold around us, I understood something simple and undeniable. This was the first promise we made that felt free, chosen, and completely ours.